Hi, everyone. So this is the Insomnia stream. Thanks for joining in. We have on the stream today, I'm Dimitri, a developer here on the Insomnia team. How about you, James?
Hi, James. Likewise, working on the Insomnia team.
And Gaz?
I'm some random person from GitHub that happened to just join in.
Yeah. All right. Gaz has a PR up. So we can just, so we'll filter by the, you guys can see my screen, right? So we'll filter by the Insomnia stream label. And here's the one. Okay. So, it closes two things. It's always a bonus. Open API importer. Okay, so this is about Open API specs and OAuth 2. Okay. From October and February 2021. Okay, great. So existing importer for the Open API spec requires specifying scheme bearer. So any overall, before I read it word for word, any overall, do you remember? It's been a while, I guess, what this is all about.
Yeah, it has been a little while. So yeah, I was trying to get an Open API spec using OpenAuth into OAuth into Insomnia. The syntax highlighting was complaining that it was an invalid specification. Because if you didn't specify schema bearer, it would just say, "Oh, sorry, not happy with it." But if you look at the RFCs for Open API, not the RFCs, there's a nice little spec for it. Yeah, you're not supposed to specify that scheme attribute, if I remember correctly.
Oh, okay. Let's see what you did here. Oh, you updated some fixtures. Okay, that's always super helpful. So let's try to create. I always like to I'll start up the app. Oh, cool. James is in here. Yeah. So anyone watching, you can come on the Insomnia stream channel on the Insomnia, or the stream channel. It's just called stream on the Insomnia community Slack. Let's see. Let's put a link out to that. I'll grab a link in a second and put that in the chat here. But yeah, you can go on there, and there's a link to a VS Code live share. So yeah. Actually, James, would you mind throwing that link up on the YouTube? It's in the here. I'll grab it. So we have Insomnia. Yeah. So just for anyone to know, everything we do about this stream is done in the open. We have a planning document here that we have, and at the bottom of this planning document is some links. So sorry, I guess I'll grab it and I can throw it here in the chat. So there's the Insomnia community Slack, and there is, just chat it out, and you can see it on the screen. So I'll put it on the screen for everyone to see, in chat.insomnia.rest. And then if you go there, you'll see the channel that you need. Okay, great. So let's get going. Over there, you'll find the VS Code live share if anyone's interested. Okay. So let's start up the app. We'll see if we can get it moving here. So the basic point is we're importing an Open API spec, and it needs to contain information that it doesn't about the OAuth flow. Is that right?
Just to mute myself there again. It needs to. Yeah. It was basically for me fix the validation. So it was no longer unhappy about that lack of that schema attribute.
Okay. I see. This is where you removed it here. Okay.
And I think at the same time, I kind of did a little bit of tidying, just so that you could specify things like a redirect URL. It was quite some time ago for this one.
Yeah, it's all good.
Well,
let's grab this guy, and then we can take a.
I think there was a bit more. There was kind of effectively a bit of being helpful going on here. So
if I
you know how you can specify your kind of your kind of like your variables in Insomnia, so that you can kind of reuse
Mhm.
them across requests.
Yep.
That's basically what this is. That's also part of what this PR is doing as well. So if you've got, I don't know, if you want to specify like a client ID or redirect URL for OAuth, you can just kind of, rather than having to copy it into every single request, it'll just default to having an environment. It'll default to using an environment variable for that. So you can just go off and drop that into your environment, and you'll be able to
Oh,
use that
okay.
for the
It's like a
requests.
convenience thing, like to reduce duplication?
Yeah, so you don't have to kind of,
Cool.
rather than having to manually kind of like fiddle about with the authentication for every request that's been imported, it'll set the client ID, the redirect URL on all the requests that it's imported, and it will set it to an environment variable. So you can just go off and change the environment variables in Insomnia, and regardless of which request you started with, it's all set up for you.
Oh, okay.
That's
I
pretty
think that was what I
nice.
was trying to do.
What were you gonna say, James?
Yeah, I'm saying like that's pretty nice to have on the environment because you can reuse it. It's a powerful feature, actually.
I
Sweet.
think some of the other authentication schemes do something quite similar. So it was also kind of copying what they were doing.
Okay. So how do I set up so right now I'm on the develop branch, so before your PR. How do I put Insomnia into like an error state that will show what was wrong before? Is it by adding is it by adding scheme bearer here?
Yeah. So yeah, you can see that so property scheme is
It's not
not
expected.
expected to be here. But if you didn't do that, I think the previous setup in Insomnia, I think the way Insomnia previously worked is if you didn't specify that scheme bearer, it refused to, it wasn't happy importing the OAuth settings at all.
Oh, which it should be because you don't actually need it.
Yeah, you don't need it, but if you didn't specify it, then I don't think it would actually kind of set the authentication on any of the requests that you imported.
Oh, I see. So right now it should say the the auth stuff should be here, but it's not.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, great. So let's go pull up your PR here. Um let's see. Fix auth 2. There we go. Sorry if this is a little small here. Let me make it legible. So I'm going to add your remote and then check out this branch. So, oh, cool. This is just in one commit. So the first thing I'll do is rebase this commit and see if that even works. If it doesn't, that's okay. We can do the rebase later, but it's always nice to test against rebased stuff if possible. Sweet. Oh yeah, because it's mostly that open API file doesn't get touched a lot, and then the rest are fixtures. Okay, so cool. It's recompiling. Actually, I'll restart the app. Cool. Okay, so then we're going to expect when we open this up that when we generate the requests again, that it will have the OAuth stuff that's appropriate.
Yeah. So when you import that Open API spec, the auth tab should be filled with stuff rather than just being blank.
Cool. Okay.
Or I think that's what I think that's what it was.
Yeah, I mean, this is there's not really too much that changed, which is really cool. So it's like, I love PRs, by the way, that are like 80% tests, 10 to 20% code. So I think I'm probably going to have to, I'll delete this one to regenerate it, and then we'll come back over here and see. So it's not working. Okay, let me.
Yeah, I think it might only do this on import. So if you
When you like actually import the spec. Oh,
yeah.
Okay, so then that's like a bit of a bug there, but maybe it's unrelated and we can handle it separately. So I'm going to come over here and say import from file. Oh, okay. Actually, let's import from clipboard. New design document. Okay, endpoint security. So here it is. Nope, still doesn't work. So let me. It may have been something changed since you did this work. So I didn't push on purpose. Let me grab your. Let's solo here. I'm gonna solo your. What's it called? OAuth 2. There. Solo that.
Maybe
then,
this
Could
only
we be
happened when I
missing
was
some
doing it as a
property?
request collection.
Say again? Am I missing a
Maybe this
property?
only happens when you import as a request collection.
Oh, okay. Let's try it. So
Maybe.
clipboard, new, request collection. Nope. But yeah, that's a good point. We should check that first. It doesn't mean that it's broken. Maybe I grabbed the wrong thing. So is it possible that this what's on the screen here is the wrong thing to be using as a spec to test this?
I mean, that looks reasonable to me.
Okay, we can test this out real easily. Let's just let's go grab your PR. It's here somewhere. Where is it? Oh, that's my local. I want to see yours. Here, let's check it out again. Yep. And I also want to see develop on origin. Where are we here? Develop. Okay, so it's recompiling. Actually, let's just restart the app. Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised, terribly surprised. I think James, didn't we do something somewhat recently? Oh, I got a hard reset. Oh, because something has changed, some pretty significant things. Okay, run hard. Something has changed probably. We can, while that's running in the background, we can check out, take a peek at this file. So what's it called? Oh, what failed? Oh, N12.18. Yeah, we've upgraded Node since this time. Okay, let's try again. Oh, learn it I found. Okay. Okay, that's we'll go. So the file is open importers, open API 3. So I have this handy little doodad that I like to use. Let's see if it's open Git History. So this tells us if anything has changed. So the only thing that changed here is this code that's in white, spec property. This doesn't have anything to do with auth. This is for spec methods. So nothing else here in this file changed since then. And then September 1st, some ESLint stuff, that's fine. Another ESLint thing. Yep. And then let's see here. This is before yours. So
yeah.
So we're good. So I don't think anything changed. I'm not sure why it didn't work, but if we find out that the spec that we were testing with also doesn't generate the right thing, then it's likely we just have something wrong in our spec. So let's prepare for that scenario. And so you added this.
Yeah, I mean, so the test fixtures have been updated. So I'm just wondering whether we're not. It's been so long since I tried to kind of trigger this. I'm trying to remember how I did it.
It's all good. So resources here. One of the resources is an environment, which has client ID, localhost. Okay. Let's make this a little bigger. I hope the stream final quality is not as bad as it is on my screen right now, but we're trying. That's okay. Authentication.
Gonna get there.
Right. These are more. Oh, okay. But this is not really the right way of looking at the problem, I think, because this is showing it already added, but with the environment variable. That's testing like environment variable stuff. But we want to see the importing if it comes in on the import.
Yeah, that's not. It's not just setting the environment variable. The environment variable stuff. It's setting the authentication. Full stop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, I see here. Okay, so it's not just the. Oh, so maybe that's part of what's going on. We have all these other things here that are. Um, let's do this. Let's grab this whole
Yeah, let's
file.
get the whole fixture and see what it gets us.
Yeah, because before I had previously just grabbed. Yeah. Wait, is
I
it
think if
here?
you scroll up, you can get to a little link which will just kind of like give you the whole file in
Yep.
one go.
Yep. View raw. I'll put that in a new
Yeah.
tab.
So just to do a small like reiteration on the thing, in OpenAPI you can define an authorization component, right? So you can reuse it in your requests, let's say.
Yeah.
And here what we're doing is basically we're adding this bearer scheme so we can auto-gen the auth window. When someone like goes to Insomnia, they can see the authorization method for that specific request. And currently that mapping doesn't work, so we want to make sure it also supports this. Is that correct?
Yeah. I think it's been working for some, but not all of them.
Got it.
Do we know? It'd be cool to know which one it's working for if we can figure that out. But let's try. Let's try with this because this. Okay, so this is the one that I grabbed before. But let's migrate from
Yeah.
designer. No. So let's just like delete this and then go. Oh well, we have to delete it from something where it'll generate. So the flow for generation should be the same as importing. Is one of my presumptions. Ah, there it is. So something has changed. This is exactly the
Okay.
one we thought wasn't working. So we are not going to bother rebasing this right now. Let's just try to get to the heart of this job. And I'll go back later and try to find out what happened and why it doesn't work after being rebased. There could be a genuine bug in Insomnia that has nothing to do with your work, and we don't want to get distracted. So we are in good shape then. So let's take a look. I wish we could see them side by side, but anyway, let me make this a little bigger. Oh, oops. A little bigger. Is it? Is that as big as we can get? Okay, this is as big as I can go. Really? Okay. Anywho, here we have security scheme, OAuth 2, authorization code, flows. Great. And then it imports correctly, grant type authorization code. And then this links to an environment variable. Right, right.
Yeah. So I think if I remember looking at if you look at the PR, I think it's stated that I've added it for redirect URL as well.
That's the redirect URL. Sorry, redirect URL for auth 2 requests to a variable. This is a required parameter of Amazon Cognito. Oh, are you using Cognito? That's cool. I like
Yeah.
Cognito. Okta is also cool. So being able to set it easily for all requests. So we sort of you made a like a design choice about what that variable should be, or did it come from the spec?
I made a design choice. I
Got
named
it.
it based on
Yeah,
what
what
the
it's called.
existing variables were called. So there's
Oh,
already
okay.
OAuth2 client ID and client secret. So I just went with OAuth2 redirect URL. Seemed
Oh, okay. Oh, got it. Okay, so when you import some other thing that has this OAuth 2 client ID, it'll link to a variable named that. But then this variable doesn't have any value right now, right?
no. So yeah, you'll
Um,
need to.
oh, but it added it to my environment. That's cool. Sorry that I'm learning
Oh,
this. I'm learning this along with you, but um,
maybe I did that as well. Yeah, maybe I sorted that out for redirect URL at the same time.
that's cool. So let's grab let's then I don't want to solo on develop. Let's just look at your PR straight up. So yeah, this is the only code file. So let's see if that happened here. So if the scheme is equal to OAuth, and if these two are here, then what is this? What does this reduce your security schemes? Oh, this is this is it. Yeah, okay, right. This is what you're saying is that OAuth 2 username and password were already added. You just added this redirect URL one, but the OAuth client ID one was already added too. Okay, cool. I understand what that says now, and I didn't before. And then here we're linking it. Boy, it'd be nice if we didn't write a string. It's kind of error prone to put a string in there. I wish we had pulled these things out before, but I don't want to. That's okay. I don't want to get too fancy with it. But okay, so if the grant type is authorization code, then okay, so this is saying fill out the form, basically.
Yeah.
If the grant type is that, so where is this code? Parse OAuth 2. Oh, okay. I think I understand what all this is doing now. James, how about you? Did you before me? It sounded like you did before me.
Well, kind of, but I'm still getting to the sense of how the whole feature works, but I understand the big picture at least. I hope.
Yeah, so I think the big picture is if I don't get where the scheme bearer part comes in.
Yeah. Let me pull up the specs for OpenAPI.
Okay.
Which, funnily enough, I was writing an OpenAPI spec the other night. So
you can share your screen if you want, or you can pass me a link and I'll put it up.
Hang on, I was just on my other laptop.
If you find it, but okay, so this is let's look. So OAuth 2 is a security scheme type. So this is saying this code is saying if the can I make this any bigger? I can't make this any bigger. So let's go to OpenAPI 3 and then what is it, line 330? We were close. So this is saying if this is the part that was added. If the security scheme is type OAuth, which let's just make sure, yeah, OAuth 2. Okay, cool. Can we find?
Yeah, so I really wish the specs for this actually had proper deep links.
Oh yeah. So I have a question. What happens if because now we're changing and saying like if the security scheme type is like this, but before we were doing it for every type, is it changing the previous behavior?
Sorry, I was a little bit distracted. What was that, James?
So currently we're checking if the security scheme is like if the scheme type is security type OAuth, and then we're running this logic. But before we were doing it for every scheme type, right? So would that change? Can you go to the diff? I think it's going to be easier to explain.
Yeah, the diff, it added this first, the or thing here.
Yeah, if you scroll a bit down to line 397.
Yep.
You can see.
Oh, there's bearer. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I removed the bearer check. If you look at the link I've just put in the private chat, that'll take you to the OpenAPI specs for the security objects.
Okay.
And you'll see that is it scheme that should only apply to HTTP auth. It shouldn't apply to OAuth. So yeah, if you look at the third column.
So
previously, Insomnia was trying to say that code was trying to say, hey, you should only deal with OAuth if the schema is bearer, but you shouldn't use scheme bearer for OAuth.
Nice.
Okay.
I don't really understand, but if James understands, then we're good. James, you understand?
I think there's some quite clever OAuth people also kind of like in the book in the books associated with that chat who were kind of like saying, yeah, that's kind of wrong.
Oh, in the issue?
Yeah. So if you scroll right up to the top.
In some of these other issues?
Yeah, so I think it's one of the attached issues. Someone else was also saying about it.
Oh, this.
The issue with security schemes does not yeah. So they added that, but then a colleague just pointed out scheme attribute is not actually valid for OAuth 2.
Oh, that's what you were just showing us. Oh, so this is okay. So then maybe I do understand. So this check is looking for something that should be an unreachable case.
Correct.
And we're forcing users to add bearer when otherwise it really shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
And the linting is correct. The linting understands that bearer shouldn't be there. And so in order to actually get this to work, you have to have a lint error.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think we got me there. Thanks, guys.
Don't worry. It took me a while to remember.
So okay. So then the fix is to take off bearer because that's an invalid state anyway. Okay. Yep. So I just want to do one quick thing before we go forward, which is this Open API 3? Was I? Well, let's go find it again. Open API 3. It's always, nope, this is wrong. Open API 3. It's always like good to, if we can blame that line. I just want to make sure there wasn't like some other bug. Equals bearer. Okay, it might have been already. We see it might have been copied from this. Look, there's all these other ones where it says scheme equals bearer. So I wonder if it was.
It's the one on 405, I think.
So this is TypeScript phase 1 and 2. So I can go to this. I can go to this commit actually here, and then I can go to parent and browse files. So we're gonna do a little git splunk just for a second, if you'll entertain it. Oops. Import open 3. Yep. So then there's this one. Is this the line? This is the line. View git blame for that line. Add support for auth to an open API importers. Okay, so that's probably the PR that it was first added in. So let's look for this. Great. It's not a huge PR, or at least it's, I don't know, has potential. So yeah, it was just added right under something else. So I wonder if this is just a copy pasta thing, why the bug was introduced in the first place. And there's no talk about bearer in this PR. This is an open source PR. I say this with great respect, Gaz. Open source PRs are the ones most susceptible to this variety of of mistakes. So we're always on the lookout for something, because like there's usually too many things for like somebody to know. We're always trying to reduce that, of course. We really want, I mean, that's why we're doing the stream. We really want this project to be something that people feel like they can contribute to, for our own sanity as well. It helps keep the code base clean. But okay, well, I think we did the diligence on making sure that there wasn't some reason why bearer was there in the first place. And the only thing I kind of want to do, but maybe it was not appropriate to do, is figure out this. I'd like to make like an is supported scheme function that can. What do you guys think? Is that out of scope? I'll do it right
before
above.
We go there. I would like to continue like on the flow on what we changed and what is there, just to get a sense of what we are doing.
Okay,
and
let's
then
do
perhaps we can see if we can improve it,
so,
if it's needed, right? Like perhaps it's already
started good.
So after the scheme, we're checking if there's like a flow authorization code and flow implicit, and then we're putting in the accumulator an OAuth to redirect URL to localhost. So I would need, like, if I entered that code path, I would need some explanation on why this is like happening. So how can, like, why is this happening and how can we justify it? I have no clue why this works the way it is. So I'm pretty sure there's a reason.
Yeah, I'm just kind of flipping back and forth between this so I can kind of see your screen. I've got the stream kind of like full screen so I can.
It's all good. Is it super blurry? I don't know what. Yeah, I wish it wasn't. I don't see anything on my side that could make it less bad, but well, anywho, cool. So James, what do you think we should? How do you think we should test that?
It's more of a question, like why, if you go to the code, line 397, we're doing a check.
This one?
Yeah, this is something that was added in this PR.
Right.
So why is this a localhost redirect URL if one of those two things is true? What is the rationale behind this? And can we add some comments or something to explain this, or put it like in a nice named function or something?
I have a question before Gats tries to answer, if he can. Would this make it better? Which is what the other ones do.
I don't think it's still clear like what the URL is doing there. But
yeah, so that URL was basically there as it was designed to just be a sensible default. Or I mean, you're going to have to change it anyway, but you were going to have to change the other ones. I think for anyone who's dealing with OAuth, they're going to know it should be reasonably obvious based on the naming. This is the redirect URL that when you are sent to your when you're sent to your identity provider, this is the redirect URL that you're going to come back to. And it's also the one that you'll see specified if you click on like the OAuth 2 tab, the authentication tab that you've got there, it matches up with the redirect URL there as well. So it's designed to kind of match up with the existing, or at least the environment variable name matches up with what's in the UI.
Okay, so there's some logic here. So these are like OAuth 2 variables, as far as I can see on the code, and we're gathering them from the schema that we have, and based on what is available from the schema and what the authorization type is going to be, we insert different variables to the environment.
Yeah.
So this one is going to be the default of that environment variable, let's say.
Yeah. So if the question is more, why have I only done this for, say, authorization code or implicit? For client credentials, you're just passing, if I remember rightly, you're effectively just kind of passing actual credentials through. There's no redirect involved. And this is more of kind of like an information. In fact, yeah, if you choose the grant type as client credentials, you can't enter a redirect URL in Insomnia either.
Because it's not a valid thing to do anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that
the
accumulator code is just there to kind of like set some default environment variables.
Yeah, and they only get, I just verified, they only get set if they weren't previously there. So like if I have, I changed it to ASDF, and if I go back and forth here, it's going to leave it there. But if I remove it, what I should see, what I'm expecting to see anyway.
I'm hoping it suddenly disappears. It reappears again.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
You might have to re-import.
Let's delete some of these. This is all.
But actually, that's a really good test case.
So there's those. No.
So yeah, if you tried re-import, if you re-import into this same request collection,
Okay, let me
Then I
grab.
would expect that it will add.
So endpoint, let's delete these other ones so we don't get confused. I'm very easily confused, Gaz. James knows this. Uh, but design document.
Oh,
Wait a second. No. Which one is the one we just did? Oh. Oh, that's interesting. All of these were missing before. So, okay.
yeah. This is the. I think this was like a test case where we had lots of different authentication schemes. So lots of these other kind of paths in
Mm-hmm.
the Open API importer will have kind of get pulled in for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the one with lots of stuff in.
Oh, another cookie name. Oh, it like lowercases it? That's interesting.
I'm curious, and this has nothing to do with the PR, but I'm curious what happens because I can see that the variables get accumulated and overridden by the next scheme. So what would happen if you had like two schemes that that intervene with each other? Like if you have something that has authorization code something and then something with a password. Is there an overlap?
Cookie name 2. So, I guess how would we know which one it grabbed? How would we test that, James?
Yeah, that's a good question. Does it make sense to even have like two similar authorization flows? I don't know.
What's the first?
What I'm trying to say is basically if you look at the code again, we're gathering all these like environment variables to this accumulator object from every security scheme that's defined on the spec.
Mm-hmm.
So if we had two security schemes that are like similar, like flow that has
authorization code and implicit, you're saying?
then you would only get the second one as end variables, I think. And that doesn't have to do with this PR, but
Okay.
I think that's
Here's
probably a
here's
limitation
the thought
here.
experiment. It doesn't matter because it's set to a constant string.
Yeah, correct.
So actually, the first question I had, how would we test that? This is the answer. It doesn't matter how we would test that because the behavior would be the same no matter how many you have that match. Does that mean we're okay? Because I guess it could mean like, is there, so maybe you could rephrase your question like this. Is there a situation where having authorization code and implicit at the same time means that you would not want to set this variable?
I guess we can do a quick experiment. We can duplicate the scheme.
Keep in mind that all of this is wrapped in this OAuth thing. So like we're already filtering on things that are of OAuth, of type OAuth.
Yeah, exactly. I think we can run a quick experiment. If you duplicate the scheme, and if it makes sense in an open API spec, to have like two. Yeah. So if we duplicate, oh, okay.
These won't go through that path because they're type HTTP.
Yeah. If we go to the auth authorization, line 48, I think is
okay.
Is this correct? Authorization URL. I think so.
Yeah, that seems same to me.
So if we duplicate this, read something. Oh, we already have two duplicates. One is the authorization code, the other one is implicit. So which one wins? in these two. Which variables get set? I think it's they share the same variables in the end.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah, you can only have, so a security schema can only be of one type at any one time. So yeah, if you're looking back at the code, then
If I do this, is it going to tell me? Going to tell me that's wrong? No, it's not wrong. But we were expecting that to be wrong, right? We were expecting that to error.
I didn't think that would ever be valid.
Well, it doesn't mean that it is valid because it doesn't error, you know. Maybe there's just not a rule for it. What is this one? This is authorization code. But it doesn't matter in the end anyway, because still it's going to be set to the same thing one way or the other.
Yeah.
So the code path that we're looking at is irrelevant. But I'm curious, where is the implicit? Okay, OAuth flow object. Okay, so implicit authorization code. Implicit applies to implicit. What is this? They have like a query language to tell you what it applies to. Could the docs be any more complicated? Okay, here we have, authorization code and implicit. Configure for the implicit flow, configure for the OAuth authorization code, previously called access code. Okay, so client credentials, flow object. And both of them have the same value, this authorization URL token, scopes, whatever. But the thing is, where does it say? Does it make sense to have both of these? Maybe it doesn't matter. I don't see anything here that says you can't have both. I mean, for that matter, we could throw credentials in there as well, right?
Yeah, I think you can. What's going to happen is you need to choose in the end, like on your request, you need to choose which one you're going to use. So this is like a catalog of stuff that's available, and then you choose which one you use per request.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I think
then
something
also,
is,
if you go to the design spec, like the API spec, and see that specific request, if you find it, whatever we were looking before.
It's called authorization code.
Yeah. So yeah, it specifically says like I'm gonna use this security scheme,
Oh, and
then that's how
Yeah.
it gets picked
what is
as
this?
the scheme for this specific thing. The thing though is that all the schemes share the same environment variables. So like if you had many requests that relied like on different schemes, they would all share the same environment variable. So you need to hard code them. So something to improve perhaps in the future to think about this, but I think it's getting too complicated to solve here. So I think it's acceptable for now to just share the same URLs and you can change them if you want.
Yeah, they're just defaults anyway.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. All right, so I can remove these two, but okay. Well, that was cool. I learned something. I'm curious why the all doesn't work. Like, I think this is an Insomnia problem, not a like open API type problem. But if I try to switch here to like whatever, something else, it says current authentication settings will be lost. I've never hit that code path. So this is something in the drop down. If the type changes, this seems like not a good thing. But I don't. This is not a regression introduced by this PR, so maybe we shouldn't spend much time on it. But I'm kind of interested to understand what the rationale is for clearing it all, because that's what this is basically doing. What is this? What kind of weird thing to do is that? we loop through the keys, and then if the key equals type continue, that's interesting. Otherwise, we try to pass them through. Oh, so none of them pass through. I bet you we could get the authentication. I bet you that the data structure we have for this can store all of the information that we need, and we could get it. Well, anyway, we have 15 minutes left. Let's try to see, because it clears it. It's all that stuff is empty now when it shouldn't be. Whereas if we remove this, just for fun, for example, and we do something that doesn't require us to change the type, like let's say we do this, then go back, all will appear, and it will have the right stuff. But when we change type, so if I go to basic auth, yeah, it's going to tell me the same thing. Anyway, whatever, that's fine. Let's not get too stuck on that. So what needs to happen for this PR to merge? I mean, I'm okay. We don't need to do my helper function, I guess. It's just this gets a little. Can we try for 2 seconds? Is that everyone okay with that? James, any?
Is there something else? I would ask guys, is there like something you would feel comfortable with, and what would you feel uncomfortable? Like, what's the highest risk of this PR in your opinion? Because you had to delve into this and figure out all these weird cases for the Open API spec. So, what makes you feel? What like is the biggest concern here, that something could break, or something could go wrong?
Yeah, that supported scheme thing is a bit nasty now. I mean, it was getting a bit. It felt a bit messy before, and I've kind of made it, and I've definitely made it worse. So yeah, that's not wonderful. But I think if you're going to tidy that up and chuck some unit tests around it, it probably starts to feel in a much cleaner state. The accumulator stuff, setting the defaults, I don't think that's too much of an issue, or I certainly hope it's not. And I think the removing that bearer check, that feels like based on my reading of the specifications and based on what the linting is saying, that kind of feels like, well, yeah, that feels a fairly obvious and safe thing to do. If it breaks things at that point, it's kind of because it was broken beforehand.
I agree. I would say like this one. So the worst thing that can happen there, at least in the checking for the security type OAuth, is that we don't generate the variables, right? So that's not a big deal, I would say. In the things that could be broken, that's not like worst case scenario, right? So it's okay. Someone will not have their predefined variables there.
Yeah, I mean, I've updated the test fixtures and the tests. I seem to remember I ran them.
Well, the CI will run them anyway, so don't worry about that.
I certainly hope I did. That would be a bit rubbish if I didn't.
So I think the biggest thing that changes here is you might, like, if things go south, like if you were using the bearer scheme thing, what's going to happen to you? You're not going to get the variables generation thingy.
They'd still get generated. They would, if you included it, they would still be generated if you specified the schema.
Let's say you relied on the old way and you don't have the correct whatever we expect.
Yeah, I mean, you'll still get a validation error, a linting error.
Exactly. So it's not that we're breaking something. It's I would say we're moving towards spec. What the spec does. The biggest concern then would be this auth scheme find thing, which like changes how things are going on. But I think there's like test cases to cover this too. So yeah.
Called. I was listening despite my typing. I think this is it's going to surface other errors. It's going to surface other errors. Okay, I don't want to rock the boat too much. I'm pretty sure this is correct. So is supported scheme. We can pull this out. Doesn't need to be inline anymore. It means we can unit test it now or later if we want. But let's review. So if the scheme is let's see if we can just do this a little well, we want to do both. So let's try to do this a little simpler just to be friendly to the future people who encounter this code. So an equivalent way of writing this would be if the scheme scheme.type and the other ones do scheme.type not equal or this is like a De Morgan's law thing, right? Are these two correct? Are these two equivalent? Let's see. If the security type and if it's not one of these, let's do this.
Yeah.
Does that look right? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. If it's not one of these, then return false. Okay. If it's this, then return true. And if scheme, oh, okay. So scheme is only in OAuth types. So really we would, anyway, the way to do this nicer would be to let's do this. Is OAuth security scheme? Because OAuth security scheme is the only one that has scheme in it, or at least the others don't necessarily have scheme in it, but OAuth does. Right? There's all these ones. Oh no, it doesn't. Maybe we should just leave it. I'm afraid.
So yeah, can we perhaps we can try to understand what the actual code there is doing.
I get that. No, I get that part. So it's saying it's asking if it's a supported to look through the supported schemes and find the auth scheme for this particular scheme.
So I think it's either got to be, so it's supported if it's either OAuth or it's HTTP and it's using a supported HTTP auth scheme. That's what I'm reading it as. That's what I think I'm reading it as.
Or I would say it's the same, except it's an or here. I stashed my changes, so let's don't save that.
Yeah. So if the auth type is HTTP, then you need to choose an IANA authentication scheme, which what's in. So yeah, one of basic, bearer, digest, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we have basic and bearer. Mm-hmm. Okay, whatever. I tried. Let's do it. I don't want to.
Yeah, I think I think that is supported name in the function kind of lies about it, because this is basically if the scheme you're passing me exists in the defined schemes, which is I think the supported schemes, we find them from the spec.
Yeah.
If this thing is there and follows these rules or some of these rules, then we get an auth scheme. Otherwise, you don't get an auth scheme. I think that's like the what this const authentication thing is trying to wrap as logic. And the find function is a bit complicated. Perhaps we can simplify it, because like imagine adding an extra case here,
Yeah.
coming like 6 months later or 3 days later. I would be confused to add an extra case.
Yeah, I think that's yeah. Well, anyway, we're approaching.
But we can keep it as is for now. I agree. Like it worked like that before, and it's definitely something we can improve, though.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I would agree. It's not pretty.
Not particularly maintainable. I agree. So then I'll go after this and rebase this and push it up, and I think we should be. I don't think there's anything that needs to be done to merge this. Do you have anything, James?
No, I think the improvements we can make afterwards. We need to think about it a bit.
Okay, well, that's just about our time. So thanks, Gaz, for coming on. Really appreciate it. This has been super fun. We love to interact with people from the community. This is like probably my favorite part of this job, and it's really nice to have this opportunity to hear what you think and what you were what you were doing while you were trying to figure this out. So thanks again for coming on, and thanks everybody who's watching on YouTube and elsewhere. And we'll see you guys next week.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.